What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I am back this morning for a little bit of an impromptu Man United news roundup. I know we used to do those a lot, and we'll jump back on now and then, but today's woke up this morning, looked around online, saw a lot of little interesting updates, and then wanted to think that maybe I could just combine those with a lot of the little mini updates that have been coming out this week. So here we are today, Man United news roundup. Like I said, just a few interesting bit of United related news. I did want to get your thoughts on that. So we're going to talk about Ruben Amorim. We're going to talk about Ruben Amorim and the English media. We're going to talk about lazy transfer links and stadium updates is probably the biggest news. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. But before we do get stuck in today, and this is why you want to hit that like button and subscribe, I did get this in the mail yesterday. This is the shirt for the next giveaway. If you guys are familiar with the channel, you know that we do giveaways periodically, probably like every other month or so. We'll do a giveaway. Typically, we do it when we do a big news show. Typically, it's during the international break because we just want to break up the boredom. But this is my thank you to all of you who have helped the community grow, who get involved, who engage in the channel, who like the videos, who are subscribing. We are on the road to 2K, but this is my thank you to you guys. I want to show my appreciation. This is a 22-23 home shirt. It is a replica, not the authentic like the Fanatics, but it is legit. It is a large, and it is on point. I do like these. I do like the collar a lot. I thought that Adidas did a good job. So check that out. It is a large. That is the subject for the next giveaway. So the best way to get involved in the giveaway is to get involved in the channel, contribute to the chat, contribute to just the overall growth by liking, subscribing, watching the videos. It's the best way to get involved. The winners are chosen at random. So you guys check that out. Danny B already in the house. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing? Good to see you. Sorry, it's been a morning already. So we're just doing some things this morning around the house. So first up, let's talk about this ridiculous situation at Ruben Amorim's pre-match press conference for Sporting's match against City today in the Champions League. So if you haven't seen it yet, basically Ruben Amorim is doing his pre-match presser, and he's sitting down, and he says, like, I'm only going to be speaking in Portuguese until I'm done here, basically. So he talks for a while. And then after a little while, English journalist, I'm not going to say his name, you guys can go look it up. But basically the English journalist asked him, like, oh, hey, can you give a response in English, please? Amorim politely declined, but the journal just throws a tantrum about it, basically saying, like, well, you've been speaking in Portuguese for 20 some odd minutes. You can't speak 10 seconds in English, basically. What an absolute clown. Have you guys tell me you've seen this at least. Does this guy go on a trip to France and then throw a tantrum because people aren't speaking English, like because they're speaking French? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's totally ethnocentric. It's so weird. Danny's showing some love to the giveaway. Nice, Sean. Fair play to you, pal. That journalist prick for years should be banned from all United pressers. Only watched 30 seconds of it, then you popped on. Well, I'm glad that you jumped over here to watch me instead of watching that shambles. That was a bit ridiculous. I'm telling you right now, kind of like what Danny's like saying, just not only do I think we should just scrap the pressers altogether, because honestly, how many times do I come on for a match preview because I'm waiting for the presser for anything, and like there's just nothing to talk. The journalist asks really stupid questions, basic questions, nothing good whatsoever. All they do is cause problems, like, i.e. this instance. And like you're saying, man, like, Danny, let's just ban these guys from pressers. What I really would pay good money to watch, though, Danny, is once Amorim joins United, and if this journalist shows up at the pressers, I want Amorim to only, when this guy's asking questions, I want Amorim to only respond in Portuguese from now on if this guy shows up at United pressers, because what an absolute freaking clown. Danny says he's a horrible, toxic divider, stirring up shit for weeks down the road. Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see. Like, it's just like Ten Hag, Amorim's not even in Manchester. He's still at Sporting managing, and the media are already going after him, just like I told you they would be. Like I said, we did that video last week that the media are already going back and backtracking and hypocrisizing themselves on some of the headlines they wrote about Amorim when he was linked to Liverpool, West Ham, City. Now that he's linked to United and he's coming to United, now it's all negative, when it was nothing but positive last season. This time they couldn't even wait for him to get here, though. They flew to Portugal just to give him a hard time. So I know. So Amorim typically handles the media very, very well. As you've seen, he handled it, I thought, with tact, with some grace, with courtesy. But he's in for a whole new level of shithousery from the media when he comes to United. It's just that it's lose-lose. There's almost not really ever a good or perfect way to respond to some of these journos. Maybe sometimes the best response is no response. I don't know. It's one aspect of being a manager or a footballer that I could never do. I would be horrible at, because not only do I not like speaking in public, I can't stand it. But I also get super annoyed real quick. I hate having to repeat myself. I hate having to put up with questions or comments that I know for a fact are aimed towards making me look bad or making the club look bad. Like I would see through that real quick. Maybe it's because I'm a therapist and I can tell when people are bullshitting. I don't know. But I would not be great at it. You guys ever watch Ted Lasso? There's a scene in like the last season where Roy Kent takes over the pressers. That's basically who I'd be. Roy Kent is my Patronus. He is my spirit animal. That is basically me if I had to deal with these journos on a regular basis. So it's ridiculous. Danny says Ineos could nearly build a case on their fake toxic agenda for the past 12 months. And we've seen it before. Fergie banned them. Samuel Luckhurst and a few people got banned last season by Ten Hag in the club for just spouting absolute nonsense. And then the journals want to come out and play the victim like it's like they're just doing their job, or they're being like ostracized or something just for asking questions. Like, no, you know exactly what you're doing, and we're not going to tolerate it. And I have zero time, zero patience, and quite frankly, zero problem with the club just saying, fuck off. Like, you're not welcome. Like, we don't care. Stand Fred the Red outside the press room door and just make him be the bouncer and just freaking hit these guys upside the head or something. Sue the shit out of them. Yeah, and see, they'll all hide behind the fact like they're just reporting on what they hear. But this is how you see through it. When the sources are just sources, or ESPN believes or whatever, then it's just a load of crap. Or my favorite is like, oh, United could go in for this. Like, yeah, they could do a lot of things, like, but doesn't mean they aren't. So it's just, you got to deep this stuff, you guys, like I always say. But again, it's already rearing its ugly head. So just be prepared for it and look out for it, because it's just the way it's going to be. So moving on from that, because I don't want to give this guy any more time. We did get a big update today from Ineos regarding their plans for a new stadium. So the Telegraph reported early this morning that United are pushing back their decision on stadium development and are waiting until they found out how to maximize the area available to them. So right now, just I think like to the northwest of Old Trafford, there's big old car park, a lot of shipping containers, a lot of room, and that's the proposed site. But they want to figure out how to maximize that area to really get the full potential. But that is likely not going to happen until next spring, according to the Telegraph. The club, on the other hand, has released an official statement today in which it did reveal the findings of that fan survey. So you remember last month or the month before, they did a fan survey. I think it was season ticket holders. It was like 50,000 season ticket holders trying to get their opinion on their thoughts on new stadium. Keep Old Trafford, build a new stadium, all this other stuff. And so the club released an official statement. They said the initial findings from the first phase of consultation on the future of Old Trafford has revealed that more than 90% of supporters are positive about the ambition to deliver a world-class stadium at the heart of the regenerated stadium district. And so there's some hard numbers for you here. So according to the club and the findings of their survey, more than 50,000 fans took part in the survey, which was distributed to season ticket holders, United members, and executive club members in September, the highest engagement rate of any fan research conducted by the club. The results show that a new build stadium in Old Trafford is the preference for the majority of fans who responded, with 52% declaring support for that option. Redevelopment of the existing stadium was preferred by 31% of fans, with a further 17% declaring themselves unsure. So, pretty interesting findings if you ask me. Sorry. Sorry. Still figuring out all this fun software stuff. There we go. So 52% want a new stadium. 31% are in favor of redeveloping Old Trafford, and 70% are unsure. The data showed the strongest support for the new build stadium to be among the current season ticket holders, with the desire for a new stadium increasing with the age of season ticket holders. So, which was interesting. I thought that was super interesting that the people who have had season tickets for a while, basically the older fans, are more in favor of a new stadium, and the younger fans, according to the findings, were leaning more towards redeveloping Old Trafford. That seems almost like the complete opposite of what I would have expected, if I'm honest. The club said these results will help understand the wishes of fans as feasibility work continues on the options for Old Trafford. Preserving history and heritage, increasing ticket availability, and enhancing the atmosphere were among the priorities discussed by the fans in the survey. So, in addition to ongoing engagement with our fans advisory board and fans forum, the club has also held a series of focus group meetings with fans drawn from all segments of the supporter base. So they cite this guy, Rick McGath, Director of Fan Engagement at Manchester United, has said, "We are delighted that this survey received the most responses in the club's history. It shows how important this work is, and to have this level of engagement at this stage is really a positive place to start." The first phase of fan consultation continues today and tomorrow, when hundreds of fans are expected at Old Trafford for a number of town hall sessions. They'll get to ask questions directly to the project team, including stadium architects, Foster, and partners. So it's interesting. Interesting little developments coming from the stadium. Let me know what you guys are in favor of. Do you want a new stadium? Do you want to redevelop Old Trafford? I think in an ideal world, right, all things being equal, money being no object, physics, engineering, all that being what it is, like, I think a lot of us would say, let's just redevelop Old Trafford. But I think that obviously the limitations are the cost, the structural integrity, the engineering, the space. There is a railway that runs kind of underneath the area where really that's the only option for expanding the seats, and it's just not possible. It would take a lot to not redevelop Old Trafford, because it's not just the seating and whatnot. It's the roof, it's the restrooms, it's all of it. And to do that, you'd have to close down the stadium, and there's not another stadium nearby that we could go to. So I think that the new stadium is probably realistically the only thing. And that's not an Ineos problem. It's their problem, but that's the Glazer issue. So, yeah, and like Danny says, I would prefer redevelop Old Trafford, but it's gone too far. It was never maintained properly. And that's exactly it. And it's a bummer that that's the case. It's really too bad. If the Glazers had just given even a 0.5% of a shit, we might not be having this conversation. But it is what it is now. And this is where we are. It sounds like this is the plan moving forward. When this is going to happen, probably not for another 6 years. You'd think that Sir Jim would probably want to get a move on, though. He's not like a young guy. And so I'm sure he'd want to be able to at least be active in seeing all this go down. But he's pretty old already. So moving on to some fitness news, because we did get some updates this week. So Mason Mount has returned to training with the squad, but apparently is not going to be rushed back into the squad, at least until the first team, until after the international break, apparently. I have no idea how an elbow to the head when you're jumping for a 50-50 leads to a month out, but this is where we are with Mason Mount. He's been here almost 1.5 years. He's barely played. He's always injured. This really should have been picked up by our recruitment team ahead of time, looking at his hamstring and his ankles and whatnot. I don't get what is going on with Mason Mount. He's right up there right now for me with Luke Shaw in terms of just you can't stay fit, bro. What a waste of money. What a waste of the 7 shirt. Like, I just don't get it. And we prioritized Mason Mount 2 summers ago, if you remember that. when we really needed to strengthen in a lot of other areas. We prioritized this guy. And so it's not his fault. I'm just super, super frustrated with the fact that the guy just cannot stay fit. And he's, again, like Shaw, he's a non-entity in the squad because not only is he never fit, but he's not even been fit long enough for us to really see what he's going to do. And now he's under a whole new manager who might not even want him. I'm sure he could do fine in the midfield. I'm sure he could do really fine in one of those two kind of number 10 roles that Amorim might use with that 3-4-2-1, but we'll never know because he can never stay fit, man. Danny says he won't last them. It'll be a miracle if he makes it through like a month fit, in my opinion. But at the same time, this is why I'm saying, like, I think Mason Mount, that he's gonna have like that's literally gonna be like Newcastle, West Ham. Maybe we could use him in Wolves or something. Maybe we can get somebody at Wolves like Eitan or João Gomez or something and throw Mason Mount in that deal somehow. I don't know, but you guys let me know what you think. Danny says, do the decent thing, take a payout, and move on. We're going to see what happens. You'd hope that, any new manager going into a club is probably keeping an eye on a lot of these situations and probably has been for a while. We'll see, but I just don't get it personally. But I'm not a doctor. Lenny Yoro, though, is expected to return to the squad against Ipswich Town on November 24th. So that's Ruben Amorim's first game. So he's expected to be fit in time for Amorim's first game in charge. I think that Lenny Yoro being fit could really, really help Amorim's system because he does play with 3 center backs, and we've got a few center backs, but Harry Maguire is still going to be injured. Maybe Lindelof could look better in an Amorim system. I don't know, but so we got Lindelof, Licha, Evans, Yoro, Maguire. Shaw, when fit, could play on the left side too, but I don't think we can count on that anymore. But so I think that Yoro being fat not only brings us some numbers for depth, but he brings quality in that depth, which is something we've been lacking for a while. And in the system that plays 3 center backs, we are going to need to make sure we've got enough more depth at that position than we ever have. So if Maguire runs his contract out, if Lindelof runs his contract out, Evans is going to be gone. So that's 3 center backs who might be gone in the summer, and we've only got 3 that are going to be fit. So we're going to be need to be looking at center backs in the summer as well. But I think that Amorim is really going to like Yoro. I think that he does do well with young defenders. He's got Ignacio, Diomande, Debas, they just signed this summer. Quaresma, they've had there a few years. All these young center backs do really, really well. Sebastian Coates has been there for a little while as well. He's older, obviously, but I think that Yoro is really going to fit in. I think there's actually going to be a few players in this squad that'll fit really well. I think Amad Diallo is tailor-made for this Amorim system as one of those players behind the striker. I think that Kabi Manu is going to be very good in the system. I think Kabi Manu and a Ugarte midfield are going to be superb, personally, especially once Manu gets a few more years. I do think we need another older player to come in and kind of be the starter because I don't think Manu is ready to start week in, week out. He's still very young. And I do think that same about Garnacho as well. But I also think like there's going to be players that fit. There might be players that might not fit. So Amorim's going to need to see if he can fit them in, or if we might even see a few big names moved on. I was thinking about maybe doing a video on transfer targets for United for this Ruben Amorim system. I was trying to put that together a little bit last night. Just sometimes I'll start putting together a video and that's what it takes for me sometimes to see if a video is a good idea or not. You guys let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Danny says, Yoro will play unsettled for a few weeks and our fan base will feed him to the wolves too. Yeah, I think that the fan base is, I think arguably one of the biggest issues at United is the fan base, personally. Not trying to insult, this present company excluded, of course, but I think our fan bases, they're fickle, they're reactionary, they have agendas, they get too entrenched, and they jump the gun way too soon on players, on managers, and they ignore any information that contradicts that initial opinion over the course of several years because they're too afraid and too insecure to just admit, or hey, I jumped the gun, I got it wrong. Like no one, how often do you hear in life now someone admitting that they made a mistake, that they got it wrong? How often do you hear anybody apologize? So maybe it's a human nature thing. I don't know, but it's not great. Dark Crow, how are you, my friend? Why isn't it showing the number of likes? Is it not showing? What isn't showing the number of likes? Is there not a thing on the video? Let me know. Danny says Slab will get a year extension. I'd say I don't have a problem with it personally. It just depends. I know like Jonathan Tah at Leverkusen, isn't he pretty much on his last year? I know he wanted to go to Bayern and they couldn't afford it, but he would be someone that I think could be a really good body to come in, play in that midfield three. I think he'd do really well with Licha, De Ligt. I think someone like that could be a good Maguire replacement personally. There are a lot of good center backs out there. A lot of them had made moves this summer that I wasn't expecting to see. Like Simikan, I don't know why he went to the Saudi league. That guy was on my list. He was a very good defender. But it is what it is. Darko, Danny's showing the love. Darko says, should we insist on Amorim to get his own players, or more emphasis should be on him to utilize the available players with his style and formation? I think personally that it's a both and. I think that because he's coming in mid-season, he's kind of, and because finances are with where they are, he's kind of in a situation where he's going to have to try to figure it out with the players, because he doesn't have any other options. He's going to have a couple months now to have to work with what he has. He's still got players coming back fit. So once those players start coming back fit in another 2 or 3, 4 weeks, then he'll have more players to try to integrate, and then it'll give him a little better idea, a clearer picture of what he's working with. And then maybe come January, the club and Amorim will all sit down ahead of time and decide, okay, who's in, who's not, who have we already maybe been thinking about moving on, who's been here a minute, who's not cutting it, are we not renewing contracts for? Guys like Evans, Eriksson, Lindelof, Maguire, and things like that. Who can we try to get money for? Maybe we'll see someone. Maybe we'll see like Lindelof go in January soon. I don't know. We're going to see. No one's seen how Malacia is going to do. Maybe Malacia can come in this Amorim system and just be an absolute like perfection. I don't know, but I don't think we're going to see a ton of stuff going on in January. I think that personally, if there are players that we're looking at and who are available for free or cheap or whatever, I think you just do it now, because you like an Angel Gomez. If we are legitimately linked with Angel Gomez, I think that there's no excuse to wait until the summer and just get him in now. But we'll see how it goes. Darko, give him the love out here. Danny says 100. Act like spoiled children. Yeah, the fans, and I think that, and it sounds weird for me to say, being a YouTuber, I don't consider myself a content creator. Like, and that's not a disrespect thing. I just don't think of myself that way, I guess. But I think a lot of content creators are like that too. Like, we demand updates from the club. We demand information. We demand this, and we think we know better than managers or players or owners or CEOs or directors of football or whatever. I do think that a fair few of us know better than some of the scouts that we have at United, but that's not hard to do personally. Darko says, aren't all the fan base saying, why are we only thinking our fan base is the worst? I didn't say ours is the worst. I said our fan base is one of the worst things about the club right now. I don't know much about other fan bases because I don't follow other clubs, so I have no idea what Chelsea fans are like. I only know what some Arsenal fans are like because they're pretty vocal online. I know a couple of Liverpool fans personally. But other than that, I just don't know many other fans from other fan bases because I don't hang around with fans from other fan bases. So Darko says, no, Sean, it's time we part ways with players from Ollie time. We're going to see what happens. We still got Jose players. We've still got Ollie players. We're going to see. Some of those players might not need to go. Just because they were from another manager doesn't mean they're not going to fit. And I think that that's sometimes an easy thing to overlook. A player could, like Amad Diallo was an Ollie player. Are you saying that he wouldn't fit in a Ruben Amorim system? Like, for instance, I think he could be tailor-made for one of those two roles behind the striker, for instance. So not every player from a previous manager has to go necessarily. So I hear what you're saying, though. I do. Danny says 100 Ta, Inacio, Scalvini, Diomande, top targets, I hope. Yeah, there's a lot of, we are going to need a couple center backs. Probably going to need, I would take someone who's a little more experienced like Jonathan Tah, maybe someone a little younger like Yarrick from Valencia. Of course, Branthwaite links are always going to be there. Branthwaite's just not coming back from injury. He's not getting a super ton of minutes right now, but who knows? I just don't want to pay what Everton want for Branthwaite personally. Then you've got teams who are facing relegation who you could probably go in and swoop for players for. I was looking at some of Ipswich and Wolves and Southampton's squad. There are a few players on there that, if those clubs are still, even Crystal Palace, who are struggling, I think that there are players in those squads that we should definitely be looking at personally. But you guys let me know if that's a video that you'd like to be a part of, maybe looking at some transfer targets within the context of Ruben Amorim's system and things like that. So something I was thinking about yesterday, but you guys let me know what you think. On the transfers, though, one transfer link that I believe to be completely bullshit is some of these fresh links to Kvaratskhelia at Napoli. Saw some people talking about this yesterday. I jumped on United TV's video yesterday because he was talking about it. So big up, Rich. You guys go check out United TV as well. But you got to deep some of these rumors, guys. You guys know you can't just look at tweets. You can't just look at headlines. You can't just take that for face value. You have to deep. Go look at the article. If it's behind a paywall, you'll find it someplace else, but you got it. So this is coming, these links were coming from Caught Offside. I know there are some journals that work from Caught Offside that are pretty established, but the same, you got to look at the article itself, read through the article. So the links are from Caught Offside, and the only source for the information, the claims that they're making is according to sources. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I say it many, many times, and I'm not saying you guys are making mistakes. I'm just saying when it comes to the rumors, we got to deep this. So linking us to Kvaradona, basically based on just according to sources. I think that people are very easily looking at the fact that Kvaratskhelia doesn't want to renew his contract, and United's name is always the first one to be linked. It is what it is. But I'm not buying it. So you guys let me know if that's a player you like. Danny says not sold on Brandt. Not good in possession or high line. Branthwaite. Yeah, I'm not opposed to Brandt. I just don't think he's as good as Everton clearly think. I don't think he was as good. He seemed like a Harry Maguire regen. He seemed like a left-footed Harry Maguire regen, in my opinion, which isn't like a bad thing. I think in a certain system he'd do just fine, but I don't think he was worth anywhere near Everton what they wanted. Obviously the Ruud van Nistelrooy links from his time at PSV are up there, so it is what it is. Darko says, Sean, is Amorim's biggest asset and reason Man United have gone for him is his formation, only that 3-5-2. What other abilities has he got? So Amorim, so he has this system, and he likes that 3 at the back system, but he is flexible. You'll see it change during a build-up. You'll see it change during defending, attacking, and things like that. His defense is very, very stingy. They don't allow a whole lot of goals. So tactically, though, while he sticks with the 3 at the back, and you guys can go check out the video I did last spring on Ruben Amorim when he was one of the names linked with us, because I do a lot more tactical analysis. Also, before I went live, I saw that AJ analysis. Again, I'm not a tactical. I'm not going to profess to be. I do very surface level tactical stuff. I leave that to the guys with much more interest in that. I just don't have that much interest in the tactical side of things, in the coaching and managing, but so AJ Analysis is a really good channel. He did a video this morning kind of breaking down Amorim's system a little bit more further than what I've done. So go check out AJ Analysis. As far as Amorim goes as a manager and his history and some of that kind of stuff, go check out the video I did. But Amorim is very flexible tactically. He's a very, very good communicator, not only with his players, but with people in general. I think that he's got a modern approach. He takes kind of like, so Conte obviously is known for 3 at the back. Tuchel was known for it. So while Amorim can take something that's been around for like a decade or so that's been heavily used, but he also adds a modern twist to it. So you're going to see a lot of playing in the channels. The wingbacks aren't necessarily as defensive as people are making them out to be. The wingbacks are basically wingers who play in the wingback role. They're more winger than back, if that makes sense. So Amorim is actually a very good manager. I do think that guys are going to be very happy with him. Danny B says, I don't think he's going straight into a back 5. Might take time. Yeah, I think you're going to see a little bit of transition period, but who knows? I mean, it's interesting. AJ Top Man. Who's AJ? Darkrow. We got Eric Ten Hag because of his Eric Ten Hag ball. Then the excuse is that he's not got his players for his style of play. Well, I mean, it's not just because there's an excuse doesn't mean it's not true all the time. Ten Hag's first season, we played a lot more of the style of play we were used to playing under like Ollie and stuff because, yeah, he didn't have his players yet. It is what it is. And then the injuries came up the second season, which, yes, that's an excuse for why we struggled, but just because it's an excuse doesn't mean it's not true. It's a legitimate excuse. We had one of the worst injury crisis of any club ever in Ten Hag's second season, and we still managed to win the FA Cup. So I think that's a big deal. The problem, the frustration with Eric Ten Hag, I think for a lot of people is when he said, I'm not going to play the way I played at Ajax because I don't have those players. Well, if you've ever watched Eric Ten Hag's Ajax side play, they were very, very good, very, very quick in the attack, but patient. They were careful. They would counterattack, but they would keep the ball on the ground. It wasn't just hoof it over the top and run onto space. They were very, very methodical, very, very precise. I really, really liked this, but we just didn't play that way under him. And I get to an extent, like we don't have those players. I get it, but at the same time, there's certain things you can think and say behind closed doors that I don't think you should be saying in front of a camera. And Ten Hag didn't quite grasp that concept. But it is what it is. Is Amorim charismatic, and how is his behavior in the dugout? I mean, I don't get the channel for the Portuguese league, so I'm not going to pretend I watch Sporting on a regular basis. I watch them when they play in Europe. I'm sure we'll all be watching them today, but he is charismatic. Like I said, he's a good communicator. We started the show today talking about the incident with the English journalists in Sporting's pre-match presser yesterday against City, and I thought he handled it well. He famously doesn't really go in on referees a lot, from what I've seen, which could be good or bad. He might be in for a rude awakening with the low standard of officiating in the Premier League. And he might break that duck real quick after, like the referee we had the other day against Chelsea. I forget his name. He was absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. And I can't imagine any manager is not going to be fuming with those kind of decisions. But we're going to find out, Darkrow, what he's going to be like, because I think, like any player playing in one league and coming to another league, any manager coming from a certain club and coming to a new one, all bets are off. We're going to see what happens. We're going to have to wait and see. Danny B says AJ Analysis top guy. Yeah, I do like AJ Analysis a lot. Like I said, I'm not super into the tactical side of things in terms of like what you're going to get from like Steven Housen or AJ Analysis and stuff. That's like I'll look at it and I know a little bit, but I'm not anywhere near as deep into that. And that's just because it's not my area of interest specifically, but I will talk about it when I do the match previews and whatnot. Darko says, didn't Ruud van Nistelrooy play an obvious lineup in both matches, whereas he had the opportunity to show us something different, like a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3? I mean, but if Ruud doesn't play a three at the back, I mean, he's not going to play it. It is what it is. It's just the way it works. So I don't think that Ruud's job is to be a transition from Ten Hag's system to an Amorim system. Ruud's job is to try to get the best results he can with the team he has with the limited time that he has on the touchline. I mean, he put out a strong side. I thought the side we played against Chelsea was strong. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that we struggled a bit with Cole Palmer's movement, but anybody does. So managers don't do as much as some people think in terms of all that. It's just their job is to they don't even do as much in training and stuff as some people think they do. That's why they have a coaching staff. But his job is to get the best out of what he has on a given day, set the team up to win. And that's all you can do. And especially as an interim, you only have a limited amount of time. So it is what it is. Darko says, Sean, you have the tactical ability to become an analyst and talk about the style of play and formation. I mean, I appreciate the confidence. I'm not going to pretend I have anywhere near as much as some of the other YouTubers. But again, I think it's a difference in an area of interest is all. I started off doing a lot of work on talent identification and stuff. I do like scouting. I do like watching a lot of other leagues to see what players are out there. But tactical stuff, I know a little bit, just not a lot, but a little bit. Probably more than some, less than others. It's just the way I look at it. But I appreciate that, Darko. Danny B says, we kind of play out in a 3 with the fullback and a free roam. Yeah, and I think because of the way that Ten Hag's been doing that, I think that is what's going to make it a little bit more of a smoother transition, because part of it is something we're already used to. If you look at Amorim's system, when they're playing out from the back, typically it almost starts like so one center back will kind of move up a little bit, and then one of the other midfielders will drop deep. So it's kind of make it 2. The other 2 center backs are going to split, and the keeper is going to actually come centrally. So it kind of becomes the keeper becomes part of a back 3. One center back moves up, midfielder, wing backs get forward. Very possession oriented, very reliant on keeper who's good on the ball, which I think we do have in Onana. I think Onana could probably move the ball a little quicker, but it is what it is. But defending, we drop back into a 4-4-2. Yeah, and that's the thing with Amorim too. That system, you're going to have numbers. You're going to be hard to break down, and I think that he does want to press from the top, from the front. He does want to move players wide and press. The wingbacks are going to get involved in the pressing as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to ask a lot of the players. So we're going to see how the players respond. My only question, says Darko, is will Amorim favor Bruno or treat him according to his performances? We're going to see. I think that I'm going to talk a little bit about Bruno later on. As much as Bruno can have a bad day, as much as people like to hate on him, Bruno is one of the best players this club has seen in a long time. He's one of the best players the Premier League has seen in a long time. The statistics will show you for what his role in a team and his position. He's been one of the best players in Europe in a long time. So I think that it's still mind-boggling to me that people don't rate Bruno. I think that you can criticize the performance. You can demand better. You can say he's not having his best season. But at the end of the day, Bruno can do things that nobody else can do. That pass that he played to Garnacho against Chelsea with literally just his first touch was a thing of beauty. We're going to move on real quick here. Speaking of transfers, so we already got some lazy-ass links to sporting players. I saw, I posted on Twitter last week, brace yourself, Gyökeres rumors are coming. And sure enough, the Gyökeres rumors have started. I've seen fresh Ignacio links. I'm sure we'll see more Morten Yeoman links. We've got links to Quenda already. So Quenda, again, and I've mentioned this earlier, Quenda is a wide midfielder, a winger, who is playing in a wingback role. And that's how Amorim has played. He hasn't had a ton of straight-up fullbacks in those wingback roles. It's more midfielders and wingers who he pushes back in that wingback role. And yeah, he maybe asks a little more of them, but Quenda is not a fullback. He's a winger. And I think that, like I said earlier, the wingbacks in Amorim's system are more wing than back, if that makes sense. So it could be interesting as far as our current squad goes to see how we fit. If you want to see a bit of Ignacio, Quenda, Gyökeres, though, and how they operate, go watch Sporting's match against City this afternoon. I'm sure that a lot of United supporters are going to be watching that. I know I'll be watching it. Be prepared for a lot of English media hate if Sporting lose, though, because you just know that's coming. Let me get caught up here with what you guys are saying. Dana B says, take time. We know by the new year where we are at with Bruno. Yeah, Bruno's not having his greatest season, but he's still probably arguably our best player right now. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League. I saw a stat from Statman Dave. Actually, I was going to share it with you guys. So since 2021, Bruno has created more chances than any other player across Europe's top 5 leagues. He's created 431 chances. The closest Premier League player to him is Kevin De Bruyne, who's created almost 100 less at 335. Again, how people don't rate Bruno is beyond me. I don't get that at all. But everyone's got their own opinion and they're entitled to it. It is what it is. I just don't see how you can look at that. Look at he's led the league in big chances created. He was scoring buckets of goals when he joined. The media hate him because he destroyed the whole Premier League proven nonsense. I don't get it. I think some United fans hate him because when he came, Pogba was still here, and some people were more Pogba than Bruno. I don't get why we create that kind of division amongst ourselves, but what are you going to do? Darko says, Onana was slowing the game with his laid-back attitude and taking too long to pass the ball. He doesn't show his sweep ability. I think that Onana does frustrate me with how long he takes to move the ball sometimes, but it is what it is. Danny says, we're not paying anything over 55, 60 million on one player. I hope not. We shouldn't have to, in my opinion. We shouldn't have to pay all that money for one player. With a bit of scouting, a bit of good negotiating, I think that we will be fine. These people were talking about a 90 million price tag for Kvaratskhelia. That could be 3 players with some quality scouting and some good negotiating, in my opinion. But it is what it is. English media hate for United didn't start yesterday. It's been there for decades. Why are we so surprised with their behavior? In fact, every incoming manager should be aware of it. Yeah, and I'm just reiterating because I want people to not forget about it and prepare themselves. Because the media, whether you believe it or not, and whether you're subject to it or not, the media do influence opinion. Some people will just look at what they seeing a tweet or a headline, and that is their news. Whether it's sports, politics, science, weather, whatever it is, that's where they find their information, and it's sad. But that is what it is. So, in fact, every incoming manager should be aware of the attitude of our owners. Well, we have new owners, so hopefully it's different. But you guys get your thoughts in. Don't forget to get involved, like and subscribe. We do have the new shirt for the next giveaway coming in 22-23 replica jersey. It is a large, so best way to get involved in that is a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for stopping by today. I'll be back tomorrow with a match preview of our Europa League match against PAOK, so be sure to jump back for that one. Leave a comment. If you're not able to catch the live, I will respond. But until then, thank you, Darko. Thank you, Danny, for stopping by today. I appreciate your thoughts as always. You guys enjoy your day. I will see you on the next one. Later.